Hey, how's it going? It's Joshua with I Cut Grass today. It's April the 29th, 2021, and I'm having a little bit of issues with this phone today, but I'm going to make a video today talking about my first problem customer of 2021 to share what I dealt with because you're probably going to deal with similar issues and what we can do to avoid them in the future. If you haven't subscribed to my page, please consider doing so. And maybe you want to like the video if you find it beneficial or not. As I always say, you may find that you do things differently, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. My experience and what I suggest sometimes isn't for everybody. So take it, for whatever it may or may not be for you or to you. So first problem customer of 2021. First of all, let me say this. Absolutely every single time something comes up is with a customer that's not under contract. Understand that. Every single time. It's always a customer that's not under contract. Once again, I made an exception and there's a problem. So about 2 weeks ago, I get a call from somebody who we've mulched several years for each year previously. And he says, hey, I need you to do my mulch again. And, can you add me? What would you charge me to mow? And I quote him and he says, okay. He says, well, when can you fit me in? I said, I don't know. I probably can fit you in next week. It's the start of the season. It's difficult for me right now because I don't have a whole lot of daylight time. The weather's doing some crazy stuff. We had some snow April the 1st. I mean, it even snowed 3 inches, believe it or not, last week. And the ground is really, when it's wet and, this early in the spring, it's very soft, and we have to be careful what we do because we could cause ruts, or we could create ruts in property. So it's kind of like one of those things. It's like a darned if you do, darned if you don't. If you don't mow, the customer's going to complain because the grass isn't cut. If you mow and you create ruts, the same customer is going to complain because you created ruts. So what I try to always remind my customers is that, hey, we're just like you. We just do this for a living and we're better at doing it than you. But the bottom of the line, at the end of the day, 300 pounds is 300 pounds. If you got a 200-pound man and a 100-pound, push mower walking on your property and it's really soft, there's a good probability it's going to create ruts. But anyway, so I explained to him a couple times, I don't know when we're going to be able to get to you. I can't tell you just yet. A few days pass, he calls me or messages me, texts me, when are you going to be by? I think I'll get there later this week. Later in the week, when are you going to be by? Well, sir, it snowed on Wednesday. It started raining really cold and a lot of rain Tuesday afternoon. So we scrapped Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday. The lawns were saturated because it's so cold from the snow, or so cool, the ground moisture hadn't dried. And so we didn't get to mow on Thursday because it was a mess. So we're mowing on Friday. And so he says, can you get me today? I said, I don't think so. I don't know. He said, you don't know? I said, no, sir, I don't know, because we work every home in order, and mostly the weekly schedule that we have for mowing specifically is pretty consistent. The first 2 or 3 weeks every year is always a nightmare. I try to tell people that up front. He says, okay. He says, well, if you don't get it today, can you get it tomorrow? I said, yes, I'll promise I'll get it to you tomorrow. So tomorrow comes, I create the schedule for mowing. I tell him, then that Monday I will definitely get his mulch done, that I'll prioritize him because he had been asking for it, even though it wasn't his turn in line. It's easier for me to do it than to tell him I'm not going to do it. So they go online and write a complaint, and they have the worst experience possible. So there's nothing really negative going on just yet, but I'm getting the red flags. And I want to share this with you. When you start getting red flags from a customer, that's a sign. Listen to your intuition. Get out. Okay? That's my suggestion and my recommendation. It doesn't mean that it's not possible that it could end up turning into a great relationship by any means, but 9 times out of 10 in my experience, and maybe that stat is a little bit off, it never works. So I'm going to mow the next day. Come Saturday, I create the list. I put him in the list. He's midway through. Give it to one of my guys. He's out on their list. They're mowing. He calls me at 4 o'clock. Hey, you haven't mown my grass yet. Well, sir, we mow sun up to sun down. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You're on the list. What time are you coming? Sir, again, I can't tell you. We've talked about this before, but I have you on the list. You can't tell me what time? No, sir, I can't. There are too many variables I can't control. If I need gas, if we have to stop for a restroom break, if there's an accident, if someone comes out and talks to me on a property, there's this thing, we're not doing stuff that we work inside. We're not painting. We're not, it's not a dental appointment. Okay, there's no reason for me to have to give them a time, and I don't, okay? So that's been my policy, and it works 99% of the time. It's just that one personality type that has to have it, and we just don't service those people. They might be great people, but it doesn't match my business model, and that's okay. So he's like, okay, fine. So 7 o'clock rolls around. My guy gets back on that route, and he gives me the schedule, and he writes the times in for when he's working. He says, hey, all right, look at it. I said, hey, you mowed this house right here? It's about halfway through the list, and I noticed it was 3 o'clock that he wrote down the time from 3 to 3:30. Yeah, I mowed it. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. I said, look at the numbers. I said, this isn't the lady around the curve that we mow every year who pays us for the entire year, every year, the September prior to the year. So that, which shows you, and it says something about my business and what people think about me across the board. But this is a different guy. He says, oh. I said, because he called me at 4 o'clock and said, you didn't mow. And I said, your log here says you did. He says, oh, I didn't. I thought it was the other lady. Oh, crap. Right then and there. So I'm like, great. This guy's lawn didn't get cut. I promised him it was too late for me to do anything about it at that point in time. So I contacted him. I said, hey, I sent him a text. Guy made an error on your house today. Cut the wrong house number. I'm so sorry this happened. I'll put you down first on the list. This was Saturday. I'll put you first on the list Monday, and I'll comp the service for you. In addition, I'll go ahead and get your mulch done for you on Monday. Monday comes. He gets the grass cut. The mulching crew gets over there. They mulch everything. Don't hear anything. 9:48 at night that night, I get a text message with pictures. Absolute horrible service around the playhouse. They have a playhouse out back. They show me a few pictures, which I don't know how to share on this because I can't do video editing, but it's an absolute joke what they're complaining about. No, hey, thank you for mowing the grass today. We appreciate you comping it. Is it possible next time you come out that we could talk about the back, house area or whatever? Because it was trimmed around, but it has these really small little nook and crannies where you can't get in with the trimmer. You can't. The only thing you can do is trim the best you can around it and maybe spray it with Roundup if they want to do that. Or you can force the trimmer in there and it's going to tear up the playhouse. It's just that simple. I've mowed grass as a business owner for 15 years. I mowed it for many, many years prior to becoming a business owner. They know it too because they've been mowing the grass. They're not stupid. But some people out there are born to complain. Some people out there are self-entitled. This is horrible. I can't believe you did this. And they sent me the pictures and you didn't get under the bench or the table or whatever. Well, our policy is we don't move furniture. We don't move furniture because of liability issues. Because what can happen over time is the furniture gets moved, the screws, the bolts come loose or whatever. Someone sits on it, it breaks. Or if it's a trampoline, it blows away. We don't move furniture, period. So he trimmed under it, and it was probably 95% very good. They sent me the picture. I couldn't even believe that they were complaining. But I'm like, okay, this is that type of a personality. So it was just a complaint. And then they sent me a message shortly thereafter. And I'm in bed, by the way. I go to bed about 8 o'clock. They sent me a message a little bit later. Oh, all this is okay. We just need to, talk through this next time. And instead of just flying through and, mowing real fast. The mulch and the edging were great. Don't hear anything. So it's Thursday. I've got him on the schedule where we would normally be. He asked for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday mow. I told him that I can't do that because everyone's done in order. But he made it. If it's possible at some point, could you please make the adjustment? I never agreed to it. It just so happened that he fell into Thursday this week, which will normally be Wednesday. Guy gets over there, mows the grass. I get a text message, not a phone call, a text message. I get a phone call, excuse me. This is absolutely horrible. The guy came by and cut, we got to talk about my house. It's tore up all around the foundation of the home. So I'm thinking automatically she's talking about the house. So I'm like, wait a minute, man, that's brick around that foundation. I said, it is absolutely impossible for my 0.95 trim line on an SRM 225 Echo trimmer with the edge attachment I have on there for me to do damage like you're talking about. She said, no, it's the playhouse. I said, okay. I said, well, I got a message from you Monday night, and I said, you complained that we weren't close enough in a couple of the tight areas. And I said, all I can do is tell you, after all of the years and the hundreds of thousands of lawns that we have serviced in the time that I've been in business, there are two options I have. I can trim super close against it and get it on the actual house against the wood, and that's going to cause damage. I said, or I could trim as close as I can, and what you could do is spray what I can't get with Roundup. And I said, usually, I said, that will resolve it for 2 or 3 months. And then, you got to spray it again. She says, you mean to tell me of everyone that has this, they can't trim against it? I said, ma'am, I can't speak to the millions of people that we don't mow. I said, but for every home that I service, I said, absolutely. I said, I even had a request from the guy that wanted me to trim on the inside of the house where he has grass, and I told him I wouldn't do it because it'd eat it. I said the best thing he could do is put, rocks in there, spray it with Roundup, put some rocks in there, and then the kids can use that as an area to store their toys. I mean, it's just, every time I see one of these things or a customer gets one, it's red flag. So I talk with them about it. But this is a new customer, a new mowing customer. We have mulched for several years. And she said, well, all I am hearing is defensiveness. I'm like, well, ma'am, you're calling me, telling me that you're not happy. I said, I'm just trying to share fact with you. And I said, you do know that I comped the lawn mowing for you Monday and put you first. I said, I couldn't help that I couldn't mow it last week because of snow. My guy made an error on Saturday. I prioritized you Monday morning, and I cut the grass free of cost. And instead of messaging me at a normal day time hour or calling me, you send me a message about how horrible the service is. I said, you didn't pick up the phone and say, hey, I appreciate the lawn mowing that you did. And that you got us fit in. But is it possible that next time you mow or sometime before then, you could come over and we could talk about the back house, what our expectations are? That's what you typically would do. You don't attack somebody. It's like you don't go to a restaurant and they give you a free steak and then you bitch and complain about the taste of it. I mean, we have a very real problem with self-entitled individuals. So she says, we're really not the complaining type. And I said, I'm thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me. You got free service on Monday. You got, I comped. So I told her, I'm going to comp the service today. I wasn't a smart aleck to her. I wasn't mean. I wasn't rude. I was just very matter of fact. And she said, well, to be very honest with you, I'm just feeling defensive, like you're not apologetic. I said, ma'am, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm just sharing the facts. I said, of what I can do for the trimming, what I can't do. I said, what can I do to make you happy? She didn't say anything. I said, just tell me, what can I do to make you happy? And then she answers, I just don't think it's going to work. And I said, you know what? I agree. And she said, yeah, I don't think it's going to work. I said, I agree. And she said, okay, that's it. The phone conversation is over. Then I get a text message about 10 minutes later. I just can't believe that you would stand behind this work, blah, 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 and sends me a couple of pictures. Well, I offered, I asked, what can I do to make you happy? I'm not going to sit there and go over and over, I'm sorry, because you blew that out of the park Monday night when I gave you free service. I didn't say this to her, but I'm thinking in my mind. When I gave you free service for something I couldn't control, but I took the cost. It's not free service. There's no such thing as a free lunch. I covered this. This is what I'm thinking, right? And then you send me a message at 9:45 or 9:48 p.m. that night complaining. And then they need to come back and fix this was part of her text message. And then at Monday night, and then, it'll be okay. We just need to work through this. Just don't fly through when you mow. Well, the mowing wasn't the problem. It was the trimming. And again, we've addressed that. So I try not to let people get under my skin, but they're just with this ridiculous cancel culture that we are dealing with today, with people's, they got to go out of their way to tell the entire world that they're not happy about something. Back in the 80s, you just moved on. Someone didn't do something right by you, you moved on. I mean, if they did something really wrong, they tried to make it right. Hey, I tried to make it right. I offered it. I comped 2 mowings. I asked her in addition, what can I do to make you happy? Literally. She had no answer, and she wants to keep complaining. What was funny about that is her message when she starts complaining today is, we're not the complaining type. The exact opposite, actually. But her behavior shows everything but that. And I already knew that it was a red flag customer, getting back to what I opened up the video with, when the guy kept messaging me, when are you going to be here? I got a floating schedule. I used to keep a hard schedule and have people scheduled for dates. But it didn't work, and it wasn't fair, because in cases where the person got rained out, the only thing I could offer to do would be to schedule them at whatever date in the future is open. Otherwise, I have to call 20 customers and reschedule them, and that's not fair to them either, and I'm not going to do that. So I keep a floating schedule, so that way if you're scheduled today and it rains, but it doesn't rain tomorrow, you don't lose your spot. That's the fairest way to do it, plain and simple. Maybe not the most convenient for everybody because they want a hard date, but hey, The best I can do is you stand in line, first come, first serve. I believe in that. So, no, pay attention. What I'm trying to share with here, maybe you would have done something different. And there are a couple of things I could think of that I could have done different too. But that first Monday night, what I did is I couldn't sleep. So at 3 o'clock, I came down to my office and I typed out the contract, which went into detail about everything that we do and don't do. And I didn't send it to him that day. I just held off on it. I was like, man, I'm going to hold off. And then I didn't realize they were going to be mowed today. They got mowed. So they got mowed prior to me being able to get the contract to them. But when you get that red flag, man, don't dismiss it. Don't dismiss it. Listen to your intuition. The more you get into this business, the deeper you get into any business, you're going to start to be able to notice these things, okay? And these people might be outstanding individuals. I'm not here to say that they're not, and I don't want anything bad to happen to them. It's just that sometimes, people have unrealistic expectations. And I even told her during the conversation today, I said, ma'am, we're human. I said, we're not going to be perfect. If you're looking for perfection, we're just not the company for you. And I said that midway through the conversation before I finally asked her, when she had said, well, I don't feel like, you're being defensive. I don't feel like, you're sorry for anything. And that's when I said, what would you like for me to do to make you happy? And then she said, it's just not going to work out. Well, at the end of the day, we're humans. We're pretty doggone good at what we do. I've got a bunch of customers that I've had for several years now because of that fact. But the start of the spring is always tough, and get your stuff into writing. You don't have to create a binding contract, but create a contract that points out everything, all these types of things that can come up. Okay, that way you've addressed them up front. Had I done that, this would have been another example where I wouldn't have to deal with the bull crap. Okay, and maybe they would or wouldn't be a customer. To be honest, I'm glad that they're not anymore. I don't wish them anything bad. But I guarantee you, it's just one thing after another with some people. Some people aren't going to be happy unless something is 100% perfect. And even when I explained to her in a very calm tone, as I was in the entire conversation, that there's really two ways you can go about, handling that trim around the house, she wasn't buying it. It wasn't what she wanted to hear. She wanted to hear that it could trim because she had already made up her mind that it could be done. Now, technically, I could put some lawn shears in my pocket and stop and get down on my knees and we don't do that. Okay, it's lawn mowing. It's the lawns are typically striped, edge, trim, and they look really good. But I can't control the circumstances that I'm given. A friend of mine, when I was much younger, told me something. He said, he said you can polish a turd all day to a high shine, but at the end of the day, it's still a piece of shit. That made me laugh. I don't like cussing like that, but it did. Anyway, if you've got some similar, experiences so far this year, maybe please share down below what happened and what you did. Whether you were right or wrong, just share it. I mean, we're all going to learn. You're going to have bad days. You're going to say things that you wish you didn't say. Don't beat yourself up on it. The goal is to learn and to look at situations. And I can already think outside of my contract many ways that many things I could have done differently here. So hopefully you get something from this. And hopefully you realize that if you're having a bad day, we're all going to have them, man. They're going to come and go, but they help us to appreciate the good days even more. So thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, please, if you haven't already. Peace.